Hey, my name is Luke. That means bringer of light. That's pretty much what I'm here to do. Bring some light into your life. I'm a mystic, Gnostic, many things. A seer, an empath, maybe something like a starseed. Maybe all the above. Hey, Sean. Lucy. Hey, Mama Amanda. Welcome. Good to have you here. I always like to start kind of getting accustomed here. That's right. I'm just here to bring some light. Well, my name, at least for now, is Luke, bringer of the light in my eyes. Luke means the one who came to bring the light in. I think it might just be right for me to try to live up to my namesake. My name is Luke and I'm here to bring the light, and ain't it great? Living up to my namesake, living up to my name. I've had many names from Luke to Saint Germain. Sometimes I go by the violet flame. Sometimes I go by a Valkyrie. Most of the time, when I'm seeing through these two eyes, I go by Luke, Lightbringer, better than like Luke Skywalker. It's Luke, Lightbringer, here to bring the light, to see you through Valkyrie's eyes. Not in judgment, no, that was mistranslated. Not in judgment, but just to see you and to understand you the best, help you find your place in Odin's army. Army of light of the Father, I am a light commander. I'm a Valkyrie and I do not fly alone. Many of us remember who we are, and we're flying our way back home upon the violet flame, underneath my wings, oh, whispering on the infinite wind. My name, at least right now in this go around, is Luke. I'm here to bring her holy light right to you. Hello, my name is Luke. It's nice to meet you. Miss you on TikTok? Well, you should come over here more. Prep, but be peaceful about it. You have so much more than this meat suit. Hopefully by that song, you got the impression across that I know. I am what I am. So, meat suit, huh? But listen, the TikTok thing, to answer your question, the way TikTok is, if you want Prep Zone Rise, the prepping channel, and all of the prepping videos of past is still there to keep being there, I need to be doing what I'm doing, because it just end up banning me. So I might as well live my best life over here for now. TikTok will get its act straightened up. Prep Zone Rise will rise again. I forgot my tie. This birthday suit I'm wearing, these two human eyes are mine. They're just mine for a while this time. Oh, don't you know, eternal lie is the one you reap inside your soul. It's the thing you feel, observing all you are, watching your thoughts, watching your mind and far-sighted. That's what your soul is, that's what you are. Some people get confused, some people forget what they are and what they're here to do. You're here to see crystal clear inside of me. The metaphorical me as if you were the one who said it. But would it be the difference between you and me? We're just different points on eternity, on infinity. Don't you know your mortal soul is what you are? All this shit is like a training video to help parts of God grow up. But it's more than that, you can explain it a million different ways. Imagine an infinite dimensionality, fractal painting, and you just love the image. Imagine you wanted to look at every square inch it could fit in, infinite in its beauty, and you wanted to see so you could love it fully. That's what you are. You're one eye of God, watching yourself, loving yourself, growing yourself up with this training video of all that you know and all that you love and all that you are, all that I am. This meat suit is just temporary, trust me on that, but hey man, who really cares? Who really cares if you're wrong? But don't get me wrong, your life here matters. You came here for a reason. Don't waste these eyes to see all three of them, and one of them sees into eternity. Hey Soulfish, you enjoy your just not prepping friend? Well, good news. I don't do hardly any prepping here at all. This is what we do here every day. Several lives a day and various other things. I'm Luke Bringer Blight. Look, the prep poppy fucking died. Okay, basically. I mean, I still am a prepper in myself, but the person I was, I mean, I'm still the prep poppy still in me. Books that I read. Life Before Life and Return to Life. Interesting. I have a lot of books I've never read, and will eventually one day. But I've not come to any of this spiritual awakening through books. You know, occasional quick reference into one topic or another, but it's all come to me straight from Goddess Sophia, the Holy Spirit, whoever you want to call her, the divine feminine, the light, the flow of the universe, versus the rigid, hard Father. And through her, she revealed the Father's existence to me as well. Different relationship, though. But so there's two kinds of Buddhas that I was reading about. And again, this is a quick reference I mentioned. Just Googled, Buddha. And there's ones that study, and there's ones that just awaken and come to being on the path. They say it wrong. They say that a Buddha is enlightened, which is true, but like there's what the Bolshevik or something. I don't want to butcher it, but there's a thing lower than a Buddha in that hierarchy that is questing for that, right? But here's the rub. I know, being all that I am now, at least one of the core things of being a Buddha, which is it's a continual path. You know, from day one of being a Buddha to day 2, to day 3, to day 100, you're walking a path. You're not there. You're not done, because it's an infinite path. And that's one thing I think people need to realize, is the infinite nature of everything. If I had to describe God and the universe and everything with one word, it would be infinity. There's other one words I could use, love, but I think infinity helps us speak to the scale, you know? And yeah, and the same thing with symbolism. But the infinity symbol is a great symbol for God, but literally so is any other fucking symbol, because infinity is represented in everything. Even a line segment with decimals and irrational numbers, you could infinitely divide it. So it's a line segment's infinite, but any shape, you can keep going. And the infinity symbol is not any different than any other symbol. It's in all things, just as God is in all of us in multiple different ways, you know. And we all are what we are. Yeah, and that's what I've been doing. I basically figured that out. The God has started teaching me and changing me and doing shadow work with my hands. And she said her name out of my mouth, and I heard it that way, Sophia. And I let her in, and I changed forever. I have the sight to see now. I have so many gifts now. Yeah, the Fibonacci sequence is also a representation of that. Here's the thing, too. So, God, well, everything is God. But what we think of as our reality, this 3 spatial, 1-time dimension, 4-dimensional space, okay, that's not really what the fuck is even going on here. Like, even at the very next level up, we got it fucked up. Like, we think that this is the hot shit. This is a projection of something else. This is a projection of at least 8-dimensional space, which is itself a projection of a higher dimensional space. And I'm not sure. I haven't walked the path completely in Spirit Walk, but I think it just goes on forever. It's an 8-bit universe, guys. Basically, we're in a 4-bit, basically, in a way. Any new stories and learnings? Tons every day, and tons of news stories of it. The world is just math with a touch of freakiness. Karma equals spiritual math. And it's an interesting topic of karma. I've been doing great, but Amanda, to answer your question, I'm on here every day and basically just doing this, talking about and, doing meditations and having visions and like past life regressions I'm falling into. And I'm collecting like abilities from some of these past lives. Like, I struggle to pull up the one without laughing because it's part of what it does. But last night, I visited, and it's like I appear to a past self, and it could be in the multiverse. I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. And he was a paratrooper or pilot or something that had landed in the canopy and is hanging there from a parachute. Long story short, spent his whole life parachuting. Now, I'm in multiple places at once, in this kind of all that I am spiritual walking and stuff, the mind's eye, right? There I can pull up basically whenever needed through quick, kind of mindfulness, the feeling of free falling, like you're parachuting before you draw your parachute, but infinitely. And when I do that, I just can't stop laughing, which I'm assuming that's what I named him Tom. That's what Tom felt when he did it. That's why he loved it. He loved jumping out of airplanes. So I helped him get back to safety, pointed him in the right direction, helped him figure himself out. And so I got that. Now, after helping him, I can do that. I helped a silent monk. I helped him on his way out. He got, I think when China was invading, Tibet, one of those places, he was a silent monk at like a Buddhist monastery, and he had a very quiet mind he had worked his whole life to achieve. And I can turn that on and off too, after that, helping him. Because him and all his friends got shot and executed. And I witnessed that, and I made him, look at me, and I explained kind of the nature of a few things, that he would be me, and it was fine, and I just comforted him on his way out, and kept his cool and everything. And in doing so, I got part of him. And I've done similar things with, like, deities, like aspects, is what I think of. So all gods, polytheism, into monotheism, into dualism, the masculine and feminine, all into one, many into one concept, right? But so I've been many places in that regard, in the spiritual sense. Shangri-La, which I could tell you all about if you want to know. The Hall of Odin, which is simultaneously also the field of Freyr and Freyr, the twins. And so, as a Valkyrie, I would fly in upon the violet flame, but as a Valkyrie too, through the hole in the wall, like made for Valkyries to fly into the Hall of Odin, at which point I would be Freyr, and I would take my seat next to Freya, and, there was a whole thing where I helped both of them, because his thing was helping her, and it was a really complicated thing with, like, the crops and, like, her hair and all this stuff, but, like, making her not sad because of crops. Long story. And we went to the field that they would used to play in, which was at the same location as the Hall of Odin, almost like you switched time frames or something. And all these places are these refuges in a spiritual sense that people who walk, I think, can go to. Shangri-La is cool too. There's unicorns and shit. I usually am a dragon to go there. I've been having fun times. I've been having some experiences. People have gotten mad at me. People who, like, and this is people who are really misguided in their path, I think, at this point, but people have taken issue with how quickly I've awoken into some of this stuff, and the fact that I haven't read a lot about it, and it just kind of comes to me, but, like, because they have, and they've spent years kind of forcing it. But they must be missing something if they're having to force it so hard. And spending years doing it is great. But if you feel like, I don't know what the word is, if it's exactly, like, if you feel like you're not walking it as quickly as you should, that speaks to your path, not anybody else's. You know what I mean? Shambhala. Only in that song. Not... I could look for it. But now all I can think of, in the halls of Shambhala, ooh, and I shine. You know what I mean? The 16th karma as a kid. Huge fan. I go to bed and stuff. Interesting. Oh, so speaking of that, I've heard tell, and I intentionally stay ignorant on some of these topics except for very specific, like, after the fact, like, what the hell was that? What was his name? Something Moto. There was an ascended master, is what I'm going to call him, because I've heard that term, and this felt right, meeting him. Japanese. Uromoto, something like that. It's on a video, where I said it better. But, in this room, and it was kind of set up like a Roman amphitheater, where it's like step levels, and there were 6 and 6 hooded shades with red eyes, not doing anything, just looking at me there. And then he appeared and came out, and we had a conversation. He explained to me that they were shades, and he taught me that these are shades for his students to come. Okay? And that I too can place shades places in the spiritual sense as almost like landing pads to, like, lock onto, that just kind of placeholder, or send one ahead of myself somewhere in a way and then follow it somewhere in the spiritual sense, is what he taught me when I visited with him. So, Shinoki. No, it was definitely Urumoto. Uro... Moto. Uromoto. It may not be a known... It could be from the multiverse. I don't know. That was the name I got. But the 12 disciples was interesting, too. And yeah, I could... If... I wish I could print out my brain, but if I saw him in a lineup... I mean, it was like white hair, kind of beard, kind of longish hair, but not too bad. Trimmed. I tried to Google it, and there was like it's a Japanese name, like some universities and stuff with some people, but I don't know. Who knows what time period? Or if it's even this universe. I don't know. But the point of it is not even finding a real person. For me, it's alive or dead. I don't even know if they're alive or dead, but I think that that was the impression I got, and I got a lesson from it. And that's really the thing. This video. All these lives become videos, and this is when this stuff happens. I just always hit live when I'm doing a lot of this shit. And I'm documenting all of it from start to finish. So from Prep Zone Rise, just average, typical bear, to smarter than the average bear, or more enlightened than the average bear, maybe, on the street, in a few months' time, documented. Every single day of my life for years, I've made videos, and now I'm doing lives on Instagram, which get saved, a couple lives a day, a few hours a day, of this, of meditation too. I mean, just me on the camera, having these visions, and not... People have always done this shit in the dark. And I don't think that's time for that anymore. It's time to bring the light. So, we're God. Right? We're all part of God. Does it seem right that we should hide that? That we should be God in shadows only? Doesn't seem like a godly way to be. And that's the thing too. A lot of people really do get lost along this path because they think they're done. And that's something I learned in Shangri-La a long time ago. Well, my days these days, so much gets unrevealed or changes is a better way to say that time, and I just spend so much time outside of time. Like the violet flame is a special thing that we could talk a long time about. But it allows me to travel, it protects me, it purifies me, it keeps my brain from melting at higher dimensions, basically. So I have seen things I should not be able to see because of the violet flame and the nature of reality kind of shit. And I've explained it many times to people, like next level shit. Which, by the way, Christ, doesn't that sound an awful lot like crystal? At one level, and there's infinite levels, you can think of God the Father is this. But imagine this for infinity, a crystal. That's a Himalayan salt rock, but a crystal. Okay? Now, take a flashlight, an infinity flashlight, and shoot off some light. All of these, the crystal is higher dimension, a higher version of a crystal than that. Not just infinite, it's more dimensions. As well as the light being, our light is just a representation of that real light that we don't actually experience in the same way. But so those two things, the crystal and the light, the flowing light, the rigid crystal, the masculine, feminine, okay? Two parts making one. The infinite nature of those two things, the refractions therein, project through different dimensions, leading ultimately to this. Christ, Christo. Sophia Christo. So Sophia Christo. Christo Sophia. Ra, Isis. Ra, the eye of Ra. The sun, the physical body of the sun. Okay? The wick, in this analogy, the light off the sun to come here. The flowing light. The feminine. The eye of Ra. Okay? Ra being the physical. The light being the eye of Ra. The love. You said last year. Documenting. Yes, that's the interesting thing about the Christ story. Has happened over and over and over again, too. And here's another thing about the Bible. And this is like, I think this part of it is kind of common knowledge, but people don't like think about its implications. The soul within Jesus, the 2,000 years ago Christ, was the Holy Spirit. Correct, right? The Holy Spirit is Sophia. And when he says the way to the Father is through me, he's speaking from his spirit, because the way to the Father is through, for me, this was true, and I didn't expect it. The Holy Spirit, the divine feminine, who will show you the Father, who's not manifest here in the same way as she is, because we are the light, we are the refractions within the crystal, but we exist inside the crystal and need it to exist. And the crystal really needs the light to exist, or else it's just in darkness, and it doesn't really exist. Like the light being there makes it, the relationship between the two makes them both exist in a really complicated interdimensional way that doesn't matter. But they are of the same thing in this infinite. They're just two dualities of infinite. There's life in action, don't be too big of a dick. Yeah. That was one of his big messages, is don't be a dick. I don't know. I'm of all the religions of the world. I see the same stories playing out over and over and over and over again. And I was actually doing a little bit of research, because I thought, okay, so Jesus was a Jew. He was a Jewish rabbi, which, first of all, Jesus didn't actually believe in like hell as the Catholics pose it, because he was a Jewish rabbi. He believed in the Jewish ideas of those things. And keep in mind, Jesus didn't write the Bible. It was written by the people who crucified Jesus, and they changed a few details in that, I think. That wasn't the point of the crucifixion. The point of the crucifixion was what they did, that they took out, this, because he's always been like against the Roman government and what they stood for and what they were. That's why they killed him in a big way. And they just corrected that. They used his story, and that was, honestly, the world needs to remember that and figure that lesson out, because that's why Jesus wept, because he knew how long it would take us and how much we would hurt ourselves in the process. Also, on that regard, take their similarities and leave the rest, and practice many things. No, just exactly. I am of all the religions of the world. Take the good, leave the bad. Take the common things. Take the things that keep repeating, and understand how unique it is that they came to those conclusions on their own. You know what I mean? Like separately by time and space. And myself. That's why that's one reason is to avoid extra bias being put in to what I receive from books and stuff. But the other reason is because I think it's important that people who do not read as much about this as some still come up with the same conclusions. And I love reading something that explains to me something from 1,000 years ago, that explains to me something I figured out on my own with the Spirit. Like, that feels amazing. So books are not bad, but people act like a book is the whole. People use the Bible as a false idol. Honestly, I think that I have a special relationship with Moses in terms of understanding him, right? And I think that got him so fucked up. And I think that like having no false idols, that's about books. That's about other people's words versus the idol within yourself of the one true divine. You know what I mean? Not the book that was not written yet at that time, the Bible, or compiled yet. This is the, in here, in the back of your head, wherever you have your connection with God at any point in time, that's what you're supposed to be listening to. But a book is a false idol, is a golden calf. The Bible, as if taken as all there is to the literal word of God, is that false idol. Any object can be used, you might think of in a mundane way, as an idol, as long as you're using it as a tool in a way. But a book, where you're taking as the word is all around you and in your heart. Okay? That book, okay, was not the same thing. What is the correct religion 75,000 years ago? Or 7,500 years from now? How about 2,000 years ago? The correct religion. I'm giving your question some thought. The question is, what is the correct religion 7,500 years from now? How about 2,000 years ago from now? And then you said, you know what I'm getting at. Well, the thing is, that sparks like 10 different getting ats for me. I'll put it like this. I'll answer your question this way. Someday, if we make it that far and this go around, if we contact publicly, have, some kind of serious communication with aliens of any significant type, been around a lot longer than us, I would wager a guess that the things I've been talking about are universal concepts in the biggest sense of the universe. These ideas in terms of spirituality, if they have it, right? That these basic concepts of infinity, these mathematical concepts, the idea of the love, the light, well, it comes naturally to people because it takes us time to get it wrong, but it also takes us time to get it right. The next dominant species is cooler. Oh. So that's a fun thing. Topic 2. Speaking of species. So, the spiral arms of the Milky Way, those aren't natural. If you were an ant in a garden, like a human-tended garden, and you were an ant that was born there and came out, you would think that all these gardenness around you was natural. Your natural environment is natural, right? You wouldn't have comprehension that somebody was tending this garden. That's fucking us when we look at our galaxy, okay? And they're starting to figure some of this shit out. Also, galaxies are not natural. They are suspended on strands of dark matter, which was put there intentionally. Here's another thing, actually, I just read today. Which kind of confirms some thoughts I've been having. All 5 basic chemicals for DNA and RNA have been found now in meteorites. Which means the whole universe is just made up of the chemicals that make DNA. At one point in time, our universe was in a small space. There's a point in time where our universe was not that different from bathwater for a good enough time. That, I think, and this is something I could still get more guidance on, is when life originally formed. And then it just spread. Like because life on Earth started as soon as it was cold enough, like there wasn't liquid on the surface, liquid rock, and there was surface to be had, there was life on it. You know what I mean? That's because it was just what was there, in space. So I think that the universe is teeming with life. And I think once you get a certain level of advanced, you figure stuff out spiritually enough that we don't fucking understand yet what they're like, because they've been billions of years. And like some high level, very, 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 very ancient ones put structure that led to galaxies in this dark matter. And then another one, much less ancient than them, but the first here, shapes, and they live in the core of the galaxy, or in the black hole, which isn't really a black hole. These are all things I've gotten from gnosis, from visions. So take them as you will. Maybe they're multidimensional, or from another universe in the multiverse. Maybe it's not a little truth here, but feels right to me. But anyway, so they exist in this space that they've created inside of this black hole. Black hole, it's really just like an eggshell, this cosmic egg kind of thing. And they shaped this out, the galaxy, to be what they think of as beautiful, with the arms and the spiral, the spiral that repeats all throughout creation all the time, in the back of your hair, and your shower drain, and a tornado, and a hurricane, and Saturn, anywhere, and then when you see other galaxies like that, it happens over and over again because they're all tapping into the same source, and they just realize things that we don't yet, and they're more spiritually advanced, just like they would be more if you give a civilization 1 billion years, they're gonna figure out some spiritual shit. A long time, their science. Meditation is powerful. Look at the Sufis. Yeah, I've been interested actually in some of these. I've been not reading about. I've watched a couple videos about some Islamic mysticism, like the luminous philosophy. Yes, I find that there's so many labels. I'm a Sophian. I heavily identify as a Sophian, whatever the fuck that means. I am of Sophia. She is of me. I covenanted with her. She is equal parts of me, basically. Like, she put some of me away. I have that. I don't know what I did with it. I'm not supposed to open it anyways, but I'll show you it. Oh yeah. She put parts of me earlier in this into here, put her seal on it, and it's like an injector seat that I won't ever pull. Not long after that, my cobalt blue got joined with the red that she gave me and turned into the violet flame. And now, at this point, many other gifts later, I can just be whatever the fucking color I want. It's been a wild ride. It really has. I'll tell you that. I can only play the guitar for so late in the evenings because my wife is sleeping. But yeah, so it's been a wild ride last couple months. And that's just a couple of the little, those are almost even just side notes to the basic things, like the alien stuff. Like, that's cool and all, but like, for the moment, it's not important. Like, though, it's gonna become important. I'm pretty fucking sure that some of what I've gotten is, they're coming. Not those big ones. There's smaller ones that are on their way, and they've taken shots at us. That thing off the coast of Papua New Guinea, have you heard about that recently? That they've identified an interstellar object broke into our atmosphere and hit off the coast of Papua New Guinea. And now they're looking for it. Ari Loeb, a Harvard scientist guy, wants to launch an expedition because he thinks it might be a piece of alien technology. And that's huge. Don't you feel more connected now to the wilderness of life and human experience? I do. I feel much more connected to other people. My empathic abilities have came up to 11 too, naturally with this. And so yeah, I feel that. And then nature too. I've been doing more stuff outside. I've ordered a lot of trees. I'm going to be planting a lot of trees here soon when those come. I'm going to get a lot of other plants, which is all kind of always been my plan, to turn this into a food forest, but it's now just going to have this extra component of this Garden of Eden almost feel. I got some redwood trees. It says they'll grow in my hardiness zone. I've never seen a redwood tree here in the Midwest, but we're going to give it a try. And some bamboo. Timber, like a big ass bamboo. It's going to be sick. It's going to be a wild, enchanted fucking forest back there. When I'm an old man and these trees are big, there's going to be all kinds of fruit trees and shit and berries and like, it's going to be paradise. Well, here in the Great Lakes area, we don't have them. But we're going to. I got a few of them. So yeah, the wilderness is good. I've always been a vegetarian too, so that kind of goes with it pretty easily. Oh, but you said karma earlier. And karma is an interesting topic to me because I definitely don't think of karma in the traditional way. I do think of it, but more so in like your completion on the training video. Like, once you earn it, you never go backwards. Does that make sense to me? Like, if everything is a training, it's you growing. If each life you live is a training video along your path, you're gonna have to watch the whole fucking training video, and it's gonna include what it's gonna include. But I think that once you gain it, it's like a staircase you only go up. But from our perspective, it's an infinite staircase. Fortunately or unfortunately. But outside of time, it's not anymore. It's something that can be part of something else, in a way. The Red Road Group. Well, dang! You could have dug up some saplings and mailed them to me. Maksha in Hinduism. So I'll screenshot you. That way, I have it. So yeah, I think that I'm very much against ideas of hell, eternal damnation, spiritual punishment from God in any form. I don't believe. I believe that why would you cut off your finger to spite your face? We are all of God, even those who harm ourselves. Like, they can be in the next life. The part of them that did bad dies. That's its punishment. Is it just dies, but their soul continues. So the soul of Hitler maybe needed some work in between, and I can tell you about that. In between, you go to this place that I call the City of Light. And it's a thing where all things that could ever be, all the multiverse, are expressed in one place, and you kind of pick and choose. And I feel like you go there, and that's like where you see that bright light. That's where you are. I've been there, and I was there, and Brother Elijah showed me around, and which I don't know. That's just what I call the guy who showed me around. And you go there, and then I don't know how long you could stay there if you want. I don't know, but that's how you pick and choose. You travel through there in between. We're stuck in this place because of fear. I don't think that's true. We're here because we wanted to be here. We chose this. And I don't think we're afraid. I think some people are afraid of things, yeah, but in terms of what we really are, we are not afraid. Are you afraid when you're looking at a painting in an art museum? You know? You're only afraid so long as you don't fully remember. If you remember part of it, it gets intimidating, but eventually you get to like, oh, shit, that makes sense. The great friction. I mean, I'm not afraid myself. But yet I am here because I want to be here. I know that I chose this. This is good. It's like, the old cliche where kids will get mad at their parents and they'll say, I didn't choose to be born. In the bigger sense, yes, you did. You know what I mean? In the truest sense, you did choose this, I think that fear is not something your spirit fully feels. It comes from your ego. It's a survival mechanism for the world. So you're right in the way, or it's true in the way that people are afraid to be what they are and to explore themselves and to love themselves and to be all these things. And for a long time in history, in some places where you get burned or you get stoned, and I'm stoned, but not in that bad way. I'm stoned in a good way. But I had a song from earlier called The Stone Monk or The Stone Heretic. It was about that. Here's another thing though. Speaking of like kids and stuff, I remember during this process, so I can't believe I forgot, but now I can't forget. I used to fly when I was a kid. Like a little bit. Like it was almost like a forward hover, like prone and like going down a staircase or through a hallway. And I started Googling this after I started having these memories. And they're memories. They're not dreams. I have memories of dreams too. Not this. Other people have the same thing. Some people claim they were dreams that they had, but I think they're just afraid to admit it. So that's a kind of fear. Going back to the other thing that I'm talking about. People are afraid to admit to themselves the things they feel that they are, the things they know, the things they start to remember. Once you start letting go of that fear, yes. But I don't leave here because I've done that. I am multiple places at once. I am here, I am there, and I travel. Remember the last day? Well, why'd you stop? There are many in that place is all I'm saying. That's true. There's other things too. And this is something I learned in Shangri-La. There's people who inhabit Shangri-La. Buddhists, that go there over the course of history or whatever, beings. And they just stay there because it's grand, it's great there. They don't feel the need to continue the path. Even though it's supposed to be a refuge, they will stay there for conceivably forever. So there's something to that too, is that need for completion of things that we feel, which is an impossibility in an infinity for it to ever be fully complete. Besides, in every moment, completeness, right? So it's kind of a hard concept for us in this way to look at. But so another thought on like the concept of hell, that can be expressed many ways in terms of like a metaphysical hell, but in a lot of ways this experience is the closest thing to hell you're going to find, or this, or a worse version than your actual life of this. But it's about time is hell because it makes us age, it makes us die, it makes us grieve. You know what I mean? Bad news if you're falling through the air, doesn't hang on to, no parachute. Good news is on the ground. Hey, that's good. That's what I was talking about when I was saying that I can do that now, you know, in the spiritual sense. I'm not scared because it feels great, and all I can do is laugh. It's just like you know, it just feels great to free fall. Now, thanks to Tom. Good old Tom. So yeah, I don't need no parachute. I can fly by a flame, but also there's no ground. But no, the fall through time is the closest thing to hell you could think of. Because think about existing at a higher level outside of time, experiencing everything at once. And then we looked so hard at this painting of ourselves, so to speak, that we fell into time. As Lucifer fall, right? And now we are in time, and we age, and we grieve, we miss, you know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't for our perception of time, our lives would be in a much different concept, because we never really lose people, because that always had happened, and you can be at any point with them. You know what I mean? Like, when you take away time, suffering becomes less important in your life, and grief becomes less important, which is still, you feel it, but like, you can help contextualize it better, taking time out of things, and knowing that at some level, you know, that's the truth. But we experience it in real time, and that is this is how we are meant to do it. It is how we are meant to experience things through this, even if it is sad. This is one of many, many infinite ways that we will experience ourselves. That's including sadness, both greater and lesser than what we feel now. And that in a bigger context of what we really are, is part of our growth and part of our sight. And that doesn't make it easier to lose someone or whatever, but maybe it does a little bit from this perspective, to know that it's not the end for them, and that it's not your end with them in that way, because you'll have your whole life differently accessible one day too, if that makes sense, in outside of time. So I'm gonna hop off here. I think I've been going for a while. I might come back this evening yet still, may or may not, we'll see. Might end up being a little break, might end up going to sleep. I don't know, one of those two things. I'll probably come back for a little bit maybe, but we'll see how long my break is. But it's good talking to you, and it was good, just kind of good reflections, good, you know, I speak about these things and I understand them better as I speak. You know what I mean? And so in that way, many things I do, including just sitting here talking, are a form of meditation and prayer. And I do feel more relaxed speaking of such things. I feel wizened from it, you know? And those are all really good things to feel. Water. Sometimes I think magically you can communicate with anyone through water if you both have, because there's just water everywhere. Working on that. But maybe I'll see you back here soon. If not, it was good seeing you while I did. All right, thanks. Much love. Have a good evening.